All right, so this will be your first homework. Well, real homework after the introductory homework. We will keep going with the edit mode and show you the other tools. From the previous video, I demoed how to do edit mode modeling just using the transform tools. All right, so this time we're going to go and select other tools, and we're going to use the one that we commonly use in Blender. Okay, so I'm going to turn on this one right here, which is the fourth one, which is your rendered view. It's very similar to all the other viewports, except it's now taking into consideration the light that exists in your scene. We're seeing shadows right here, right? So if I press number 1 on my numpad to go to the front viewport, okay, and let me turn on my screencast. Make sure it's on this one, okay? We're seeing the front right here, and it's a little grayed, right? Because we do have some sort of ambient light in the scene or the world scene, because if you click here, it's our world tab. The color for the world is gray. So if I change this to black or complete darkness, then you will see that really heavy contrast of not seeing the other side. We don't recommend that at the beginning, since you do want to be able to see the other parts easily while you're working on your model. You can always change that option when you are rendering or shading. I'm going to go back to the front viewport here, okay? And here's my light, okay? I'm going to switch this to, I'm going to go to View, Area. I'm going to go Toggle Quad View, okay? I'm going to toggle that. The keyboard shortcut for that is Control, Alt, and then Q, okay? Control, Alt, Q, or you can just click that. So now we have 4 viewports. I'm going to switch this quickly to a camera viewport by middle click dragging so you can see it. If we're looking at the light at the top, it's right here, correct? And then if I move this, this is the front on the top viewport. If I grab this, press G, and then move it here, as you can see now, I'm lighting the top. I'm lighting, sorry, the front and the right side if I put it here at the corner. So we're going to move it here so we don't see complete kind of almost darkness to the front. So we're seeing the front and the right side, okay? So just want to make sure you understand when I move that, it's where the shadow would be falling on the other side. It just makes it easier for us to work, okay? You can also duplicate this, Shift D to duplicate, okay? Shift D to duplicate, and then you can put it on the opposite side. Then we have lights, except for the bottom, okay? On the front side, back side as well. All right, so I'm gonna toggle this back to a single view. Control Alt Q, all right, to go back to that one. So I mean, I do demo mostly on full screen or single screen, simply because it's bigger, you can see it better. But sometimes we would go to the quad view. It's easier for beginners to actually discern where their position is when you have quad view. All right, going back to the lesson here, we're going to edit mode and then explore the other tools that we're going to need for this class. I'm going to press tab. That will select the objects first, sorry. Press tab, and now we're in edit mode. From the last video, of course, I demoed the transform tools. I will not do that for this one. Go watch that if you're not sure what else you could do in edit mode. And we go edit mode. Like I mentioned before, all these tools are added underneath. These are specific to be working in edit mode. Some of this works exactly perfectly actually on a cube because we have quads everywhere, and you could actually use the tool as intended. And but sometimes when you have a more complex model, they still work, but they are very limited. Okay, so let's start with the obvious one here, and this is universal. We teach the 3D class here to be software agnostic. We happen to use Blender because it's open source, it's free and open source, and it can do amazing commercial level quality, okay? But the lesson you learn here are applicable to other software. So if you ended up working, let's say, Lightwave or Maya, I mean, the editing techniques, your modeling techniques you will learn here would be the same, okay? You just have to figure out where they put the tool. All right, so let's select our face mode. I'm going to press number 3 or click that button right there. That would be the same thing. I'm going to select the top right here. Okay, this is my top face selection. Okay, so we have the extrude tool right here, extrude region. And whenever you see any tool with a little triangle notch at the bottom right, that means if you click and hold that down, there's more tools underneath. Okay, so the one we're using is the extrude region. So this is the vanilla extrude. Keyboard shortcut is E. Okay, let me show you the difference. I'm just going to press E right now to extrude, and then move your mouse. Drag your mouse up, and when you're happy with the height, left click to confirm. Easy enough, right? What if that's not the height you want? That's easy. You can press G and Z, which is up and down, and you can move that. Or you can use the tool right here. So you have visual cue or guides on which direction you want to move that. Okay? I'm going to click undo, Command Z. I'm going to go back to my select tool right here. Command Z. Okay? And as you can see, there's no extrusion there. I'm right clicking and moving just to show you. Okay? We're going to use the tool icon instead. So instead of using keyboard shortcut. So I want you to see the difference. If I click the extrude tool right here, it doesn't extrude when I move the mouse because it has this plus sign that you have to click and drag and specify the height. Okay? So if I click that plus sign, that yellow sign, click and drag it up, then I get my extrude tool. Okay? If you accidentally click this and nudge it by a hair, guess what? You have an extrusion right there. And the tool does not go away, okay, until you switch back to the select tool here, right? Okay, so if I go here to my move tool right now, there's the other extrusion. It's easy to make mistakes when you're just starting, even with a keyboard shortcut, when you accidentally press extrude multiple times. So just be wary of that and keep an eye on your extrusion so you don't double on your extrusion. Okay, so that's the extrude region or the regular extrude. Okay, I can select that face right here, and then I can press E. I'm going to go back to my select tool here so it looks cleaner right here. I'm going to press E, move your mouse, and it goes to that direction. Okay, so if you're in an angle, of course it'll go to that angle right there. So let's do another one right here. Press E. Okay, I'm going to select this. I'm going to select the tool instead. There's that. Okay, so that's the extrude tool. And if you want to extrude two sides at the same time and make them go outwards, it can get a little tricky because the movement will not work. So if I select that, right, and then shift click this, all right, when I press the extrude button right here, it goes up. It doesn't extrude to, let's say, going that way or that way. So I'm going to click undo here. So I'm going to press G to show you also that there's no other extrusion yet because I did the undo. All right. And so I'm not going to use the extrude tool represented by this icon. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut. Okay. So I'm going to go back to my select tool here. I still have both selected. I'm going to select that, shift click the other. So instead of moving, I'm going to scale to make them go outward. So I'm going to press E to extrude. If you move your mouse right now, it's going to start extruding. Okay, I'm going to right click to cancel the movement. Keep in mind, I right click to cancel the movement. I did not cancel the extrude. In order to cancel the extrude, you have to click undo. All right, so I'm going to press G or move to show you that I have an extrusion. There, you see it? There it is. So I right click just to cancel the movement. Now I can go and scale this so that it goes outward. So I'm going to go along this X red line right here. So I'm going to press S and X. So instead of movement, you can do movement when you extrude by using scale. All right, there it is. I'm going to click undo. I still have the extrusion. Remember, I only canceled or undid this time the previous movement. If I go to my scale tool and I go to the X, that would be the same thing as the keyboard shortcut, S and then X. This one's a little bit more visual. There we go. Okay, so that is the extrude tool. Really useful tool Well, you're going to use this about 90% of your modeling. Okay, E. And then you can do a S to scale. Press E again. Press E again to extrude. And then you can do R along the Y axis. You want to rotate this because it's just rotation. It just rotates like crazy. R and then Y axis. So it's specific. So I can tilt that a bit. Extrude it. R, Y, tilt it a bit. Extrude. R, Y, tilt it a bit. All right, there you go. All right, so you get the point. So you can extrude, scale, and rotate. Use your transform as well. Okay, so let's get, I'm going to press tab here to go to object mode. I'm going to press delete to get rid of that cube. I'm going to add another mesh cube in here so we can try the other tools. Okay, so let's hit tab to go to edit mode. And then the next one here is extrude individual. All right, so when you extrude individual, it's exactly what it is. It extrudes them unconnected. Okay, so let me show you regular extrude first. Okay, so let me select this face right here, and then I'm going to extrude it. So now we have two planes here, or two faces at the top. Okay, so if I select both, click this and shift click that one, and when I press extrude or E, and I press G to move, you see it's connected. Okay, because that's a regular extrude. So now let's do it on the top right here. I'm going to select that and this one. This time I'm going to click and hold down the tool until it goes to extrude individual. When I extrude this, select just one. I'm going to go to select tool, select just one, and then press G to move. As you can see, they're separate. All right, so there's different types of extrude. So individual, manifold, along normals, and then extrude to cursor. Wherever you put the cursor, it'll jump to it. Okay, we're not going to do any of those stuff yet because it'll just complicate our model. But for now, I want you to understand that pressing E alone and connected selection gives you a single face extrusion. Well, connected, single face connected extrusion. And then the other option is individual right there. So you can go and select them. All right. So that is our extrude individual versus extrude only. Let me delete that one, get another cube. Keyboard shortcut so you don't keep on going to add mesh is Shift A, mesh, and then we're going to get another cube. Okay, I'm going to hit tab. This time, I'm going to go select tool. We're going to pick the next tool below extrude, which is inset faces or keyboard shortcut I. All right, so let's see first how we can do that without using I, because you can. All right, so if I select the top face right here, number 3 on the selection, if I press extrude, okay, and then drag the mouse and then right click to cancel the movement. Keep in mind, I did not cancel extrude, only the movement. So there's an extrusion in there. To prove my point, I'm going to press G. There it is. So now I can press S and then kind of create this really nice frame border. So what we did, even though we extruded it, we didn't move it. So there's no depth on the extrude, but we did scale it to create this frame. Okay? So you can do the exact same thing without those 2 extra steps if you use the inset face tool. Okay? So if I select this face right here and I click that tool and I drag the yellow button handle, there it is. So it's the same thing. I'm going to go back to my select tool. I'm going to select this side right here. Instead of using the tool over here, I'm going to press the keyboard shortcut I and then drag the mouse. And there you go. So instead of extruding and scaling, it kind of accelerates the process right there. It's also great for selecting, adding a border or a frame around non-quad faces. So it makes it a lot easier to just do an outline. Okay, so that's inset faces. So we learned extrude, extrude individual, and inset faces. Okay, so we're gonna go jump to delete this one, get another one. We're gonna go to bevel. All right, So I'm going to press tab. When we're dealing with bevel, we want to be in edge mode. Okay, so I'm going to select one edge. Bevel is the third tool in your edit panel. I mean, in edit mode panel right here. Okay, bevel is something that you experience in the real world, pretty much all objects except for some iMacs. Even the iMacs would have microscopic level of bevel, but everything is kind of soft cornered. You know, there's bevel in everything. Your table, so that's why when you put your forearm or your arms or your wrist on the corner of the table, you don't bleed because it's not razor sharp. They bevel it. So it is one way for us to make our models a little bit more believable by beveling them. It's very hard to see some object, a cube like this in the real world that is super sharp at the corner. Okay, so when you select the bevel tool, when you select an edge, okay, and you click on the bevel tool, you get the handle again. When you drag that, there's the bevel. Right now, it's just an angled bevel with no curvature. However, since we just performed bevel, by the way, if you drag that again, you're getting another bevel, all right? We can add segments to this, okay? At the bottom right here, when I created the bevel, it opened up the last command right here. I'm going to click on the arrow to the right to open this up. Right now, by the way, if you do something after the bevel, this option goes away. So you need to do this right after you decide how much bevel you want here. And then you can change your mind over here. And more important, you have the segments. If I type in or click the arrow, 5, and then it gives you this really soft corner right here. Okay. And of course, this is using the tool right here. So let's do another side. I'm going to go back to my select tool. I'm going to bevel this using the right click command. Okay, so when you have this selected, you can also bevel by right clicking, and then Command B is the keyboard shortcut, or you can just click on bevel edges and then drag the mouse. It inherited the last segments right there because it's assuming that you want that roundness to be the same. However, this thing would pop up and you can change this one without affecting the previous. All right, so that's bevel. Okay, Command B is the keyboard shortcut. You can also bevel multiple lines or edges. I'm going to select that, this one, this one, this one. All those 4. Command B. Always key B is the Command B on a Mac, Control B on Windows. So I'm going to click and drag. There's the bevel. Then I can increase this. All right. So that's the bevel tool. I'm going to delete this. I'm going to do another bevel here, but we're going to do a die. All right. So I'm going to hit tab. Okay. I'm going to press number 2 to be in edge mode. And I want to make sure everything is selected. Everything is selected. All right. But here's a keyboard shortcut. If I only have one, I want to select all. You press A as in apple. It selects all. To deselect all, hit A twice. Okay? So A to select. So everything is selected. I'm going to right click, bevel edge, and I'm going to bevel this. Here we go. I'm going to click on 6 segments to make it a lot smoother. And as you can see, we now have a beveled edge, kind of like a die. If you want softer, bigger, a rounder edge right here, increase your depth, your width, sorry. And then hit tab to go to object mode. There we are. You might be seeing these faceted lines and then doesn't look too smooth because the shading right now is flat. So while you're in object mode, you can right click your object and then click on shade smooth. That will give you that softer, it kind of road shade the lines right here to give you a softer look. But in reality, if you click on shade flat, that's reality right there. Okay, so that is bevel. And let's do another bevel. I'm going to get another cube, Shift A, cube. I'm going to move it here so we could see it. I want you to realize something in here when you perform bevel or other commands in Blender. Okay, so I will scale this. Okay, I'm gonna make it kind of like a really tall kind of cereal box or a product box item right here. Okay, so now I'm gonna hit tab to go to edit mode, press A in edge mode to select everything, and I'm gonna bevel. Watch what happens with the bevel. It doesn't look too good. You see how here everything is kind of equal in the angle that you bevel, but here it's stretched over here, looking weird over here, so on and so forth, because what happened is that we scaled the object and Blender assumes that this is still a cube because it came from a cube. Okay, so there's a fix to that, and you have to remember this each time you perform a lot of things in Blender that you might want to apply the transform or the scale. Okay, so I'm going to click undo to get rid of the bevel. I'm going to go to object mode. Remember, you have to be in object mode. Hit tab. Okay, go to object with the object selected. This is before bevel. Object, apply, scale, because that's what we perform on this one. Once you do that, it applies the new shape now, and then Blender will take that into consideration, of course, right? So now if I press tab, select everything, there's A, number 2, right click and bevel, look at the beveling, it is now correct. It's equal across all the edge of the object. All right, so let's hit tab right there, select both, press delete. Let's get another one for our last demo with our edit mode tools that you need to do your first homework. Shift A, cube again. All right. I'm gonna go to, we're still in rendered mode. All right, so let's hit tab or edit mode over here. Let's look at the last tool. Okay, this is loop cut. And of course, there's other one. There's an offset edge loop cut. Don't worry about that for now. So the keyboard shortcut for this is Command R or Control R. Okay, let's click on the loop cut as a tool. When you click the loop cut, when you position your cursor to a vertical line, you get a horizontal cut. Okay, if you position it using a horizontal line, you get a vertical cut. So it's the reverse. Okay, so when you just want, let's say, a horizontal cut all the way, a loop cut all the way, you can just position it here and then left click to confirm the cut. And then Blender asks you to slide it. So it's a loop cut, and oh, sorry, this is the loop cut tool right here, so we don't get the slide. So let's perform that when we do the other keyboard shortcut. Okay, so you can then click on another one and it centers it. Okay, and another one it centers. So you can do all those cuts. Okay, and then when you're done, of course, go to your select box right here. So let's not use the tool right here. I just want to show you where that is. Let's use the keyboard shortcut, Control R. Okay, I'm going to do some vertical cuts right here. So Control R. Okay, and if you only want one cut, you can just leave it there because you can always change your cuts right here. But if you scroll your mouse wheel, you can have multiple cuts, and it's dividing itself equally along that line that you select. So let's say we want 3 right there. Left click to confirm. And then this is the slide part. After that, it asks you, hey, where do you want to position these 3 cuts? So let's say we want it dead center like before. So simply right click to cancel the movement, and now you'll have your cuts right there. Okay? So let's do another one, let's say over here at the bottom, Control R. Let's say we just want 1. I'm going to left click to confirm, only 1, and then slide it close to there, and left click to finalize the position. Of course, you can still move that. You can go to your move tool and kind of do all that stuff. Okay, so that's our loop cut. So one more. This is no tools, it's just something that you guys need to realize what's happening. Okay, So if I click on Shift A, get a cube, edit, select the face at the top, okay, and this face and that one, and press delete, faces, then there it is. So you can also delete sub-object, not just manipulate them, okay? So to recap, we have our extrude tool and our extrude individual for so they are not connected. Then we get our inset faces or keyboard shortcut I. We got our bevel, Command B or right click to bevel, right? So if I'm on, okay. And then last one is our loop cut, Control R, loop cut and slide tool. All right, so on the next video, we will demo the homework that you will need, okay, using these tools.